Okay, that was weird. We ended weird on that one. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue green globe of ours. And it is a globe. Welcome to Real News Live. This is a special Thursday news update edition with a special guest, Michael Jaco. We're going to talk about Lifewave, X-39, and X-49 patches and stuff like that after we do a quick news update. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get in here because notifications just went out before I do the news. Good afternoon, and good to see you guys here. And we'll just do a quick RV update and then move on from there. Yeah, two mics. We got Mike and Mike. Mike and Mike in the morning. Well, I guess it's one in the afternoon. Jeff Demers is here. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Ray. Because of the Restream software being weird, for some reason we can't put a placeholder, video on the YouTube channels and on the Rumble channel, but so we got to wait a few minutes for people to get in here. However, one of the good things is I don't have any advertising to do today because we're just going to talk about one new cool thing, which is the Lifewave X-39 and X-49 patches. Chicago. All right, Chicago must be cold this time of year. All right, I don't want to keep my guests waiting, so it's very kind of him to spare some time for us today. Love Trumpy is here, so I'm going to drop into the news, and if you guys come late, you can pick up news on the replay, and we'll just do the news update. Okay, so as you guys can tell, we did not have an RV last night, even though a lot of things pointed to that happening. It did not go down as we hoped and anticipated. Now, does that mean it's not going to happen? No, but keep in mind that what I've been told is that the best windows for this to happen are typically Sunday nights and then Wednesdays. Why? Because that's when the Iraqi Gazette gets updated, and Thursday is a day when there are updates done through the Bureau of International Settlements, the BIS, to the currency rates. So these are your best windows: a Sunday into Monday, maybe even into Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday are not good days for this to happen. So that doesn't mean that it can't happen, but it's unlikely that it will happen on those days because it can cause more complications in markets and so forth. Now, why did it not go last night? I do not know. I've talked to many people. They are a bit surprised. They expected to wake up to it as we did today. It's important to appreciate a couple things, though. Iraq only has so much time left. If they fail to do this by March 31st, then all debts, all bets, all deals are off and they have to start over from scratch. I know there's some people out there in dinar land that disagree with me about that, but I've heard this from several different angles. So it is in everyone's best interest to get this done by the 31st. Now, BIF, IMF, and UST can force this issue. They may have already done so, but indications are that Iraq entered the codes they needed to enter, and now we're waiting on some sort of symbolic announcement from them about this new rate, whatever the new rate is. It's also possible, understand, that the revaluation of the currencies and the GCR are two different things. So it is entirely possible that we get one or two or three currencies like the dinar and the dong that go, and then it is weeks or months later before the rest of the global currency reset occurs. So those are things that are out there as possibilities. I continue to hear there's people in Reno waiting to be paid, tier 3 bondholders. They appear to be getting paid at the same time we do. So once we hear from one of them that they actually got liquidity, that means the rest of us will get liquidity at some point in the next few hours. So I'm disappointed, just as you guys are, and I'm also very expectant and anticipatory. So I think our next really good window. I said last night that last night midnight to 3 Reno time is the best window we've ever had. I stand by that, and the next best window is going to be Sunday evening on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, and then after that we got to go to March 31st. I really, truly hope we don't have to go to March 31st because that will mean a lot of issues and problems. And it will mean somebody is trying to scuttle and mess with this whole thing that we've all waited, quite frankly, frankly, long enough for. Okay, my guest today is Michael Jaco. Michael is he's been in many different, done a lot of things in his life. He's a retired veteran, 24 years in naval special warfare. I think that means he was a Navy SEAL. 2 years in naval diving and salvage, 11 years as a contract and direct security operative for the U.S. State Department and the CIA, Clowns in America, operations in combat zones, dedicated with a total of 35 years serving the U.S. government in high-risk environments. He's got great interpersonal public relations skills. I can testify to that. We had a great time at the Quantum Summit 2.0 about a week and a half ago. Their extensive background in both advanced SEAL tactics, high-risk training, and interagency programs. And he's also involved in something I want to talk about today, which is the Lifewave patches. I got one on right now for health. And let's welcome, please, everybody, Michael.
Michael, how are you?
Great, Mike. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, the Iraqi dinar. Woo, let's go.
It looks like a. Look, it's weird because I'm an alien guy, right? That was my thing, is aliens and JFK, and I want to talk a little bit about JFK before we get to Lifewave. I just sort of was fascinated by this currency thing. I first heard about it in 2009, and sudden I sort of podcast got taken over by that, and now suddenly people are talking to me, and people say that know me very close, and I really do think we're very close to actually having this. You got anything to add?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Iraq. In 2003, I was over there for the Department of State, watching, making sure Ambassador Bremer didn't get shot or blown up. And I picked up a lot of Iraqi dinar back then. I was back and forth, working for the CIA over the many years later, from that time forward, all the way to about 2015 or so. And, I would love to see the Iraqi dinar, take off, not only for, personal reasons, because I'd be very wealthy, but also because Iraqi people deserve it. I mean, they got hammered in that war. Every time someone claims that they're going to break free from the American dollar, they get spanked, and that's what happened to Saddam Hussein in Iraq.
And I hear that there's an echo. That's Michael's speakers. There's not a lot we can do about that.
Maybe Mike's switching to his other sound microphone, which is. Why don't you do that, Mike?
It kind of makes his voice sound.
It kind of makes his voice sound not as good, but one of the things that people don't know is that there were 5 countries at the turn of the century that did not have a Rothschild or a Rockefeller-owned central bank. Those 5 countries were Iraq, Egypt, Libya, and Russia. And who have we been at war with for the last 25 years? Iraq, Egypt, Syria, Russia, and so on. So people don't really grasp what is really happening or what all this conflict is really all about. And I argue it all comes down to money and aliens. I think that's what everything is on this planet right now. So
we know there's an echo, guys.
We know there's an echo, guys. There's not a lot.
If you want to hear Mike's,
resident.
So let me ask you,
having worked for the company, the CIA, I have a theory. I have a book out in 2018 called Ancient Aliens. What a lot of people don't know is that JFK had made a public public enjoinder to the Soviet Union, to Khrushchev, who said, look, let's not race to the moon against each other. Let's work together and go to the moon together and make it a unifying event for all mankind. And the amazing thing is that if you think about that moment, and I did live through it, I mean, I'm old enough to have lived through it. It was the most unified humanity has ever felt to me, ever. You could feel it, the entire planet together. And yet that was even when we went by ourselves. Imagine if Soviet Russia and democratic America had gone together as Kennedy envisioned. And the interesting thing is that as you get into this, you see that he had a lot of conflicts with CIA. He didn't really agree with their agenda. And if you look at people like Allen Dulles, who he fired as CIA director, Dulles was also associated with an organization called Majestic 12 or MJ12, which is basically was in charge, apparently put in charge by President Truman, of the alien question and how to deal with it. And even if you don't buy into the fact that there are evidence of alien structures and former civilizations on the moon, which we were going to go back, I think the main agenda of Apollo was to go there and retrieve technology and bring it back and reverse engineer it. Even if you don't agree with that, the fact that you would have had a completely different type of Cold War, or if you had a Cold War at all, if we'd gone with the Russians, gave them motivation, gave MJ12 and gave CIA maybe to get rid of him. Now, I think CIA was just the muscle. I think the orders came from MJ12. There are a lot of interesting documents out there that are pretty strongly authenticated, like the Byrne memo. And even if Alan Dulles was fired as director of CIA, he was still listed as MJ1, the top guy in the Majestic 12 organization. And then you look at the fact that on November 12th, 1963, Kennedy put out 2 national security action memos, one of which directed NASA, and the other of which is disputed whether it's a real document, directed CIA to start sharing technology and information with the Russians. And Khrushchev's own son, Sergei, said, yeah, my dad had agreed with Kennedy in late October or early November 1963, and then they killed him 10 days later after Kennedy started implementing those agreements. So I want to ask you, how do you feel, before we get to Lifewave, which is the most important thing, how do you feel about the Kennedy documents that have come out? I don't know if you've gone through them. It's really hard to search. There's no searchable database. Like, I want to see the connections between J.D. Tippit and Lee Harvey Oswald, because there were some, but I can't even search by name right now. But anyway, just ask you, everybody's going to say it was CIA or Mossad or the Israeli government, and I really think nobody's asking the question of who's behind them, who gave the order, because nowhere in any of this stuff is apparently anything about who actually gave.
Yeah, I agree that the CIA is involved. They're the muscle behind the operation. MJ12 is definitely one of the factors. I could see when I was in the CIA that there was a group behind the scenes that was manipulating things, drug running, Afghanistan. I was there. I saw it. So, you can work for different organizations like I have, and you're doing the good work, but you can see behind the scenes, there's this dark entity that's running very illegal, illicit operations, but you can't really put your finger on it. And if you bring it up, then you're gone, or worse. Worse almost happened to me when I started disclosing that I was involved in the secret space program. And then there was another guy that came out and talked about, the involvement of the military with aliens and, all these different bases. So I legitimized that guy. And then the CIA basically came down on me very hard. I left the CIA. They tried to kill me with a heart attack machine. I was walking the Pacific Crest Trail, and a helo came up alongside me, blacked out, no lights, no markings on it whatsoever. And then I felt my heart seize. So I was like, oh, that heart attack machine. And I was able to defeat it. It went up and down several times, came back 3 different times and hit me over and over again. Eventually, it was making sure that there was no one on the trail where I was. So I hightailed it into the forest area and just got super laid low. And then they broke contact. And a few nights later, I have gray aliens levitating me out of my tent and taking implants out of my shoulder. So I've been trying to expose the CIA ever since then, but it's really not so much the CIA like you talk about. It is MJ12, because up to that point, working for the CIA, I walked on water. There was no problems. I was like, they had me coming in all the time with my remote viewing, abilities and so forth. They wanted me on sites. So I was in high demand. So I saw a lot of that stuff. But yeah, JFK, I totally agree with you. I mean, look at every time, we get into a conflict, JFK, Russia. They killed JFK because he was not taking out Russia like they wanted to. In Cuba, They wanted to blow up Cuba, you know, in a nuclear war, and blow up Russia with them, and JFK wasn't having any of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Michael, you know what I'm going to do is so you don't have to do anything. I'm gonna mute your end while I talk, and then unmute you, so you don't have to worry about it. So let me do that. Okay. So sorry, Mike. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, when you're talking, I'm muting, and so we had a little space where you were talking, and it was
wasn't
really good.
little, it was long. I could talk a lot. Talk too much. Yeah, so you know, it's pretty easy to see. It's kind of like the 2020 election, right? We know that 7 states, swing states, that Trump was winning by insurmountable margins. Stop counting votes in the middle of the night. What nobody ever asks is who gave the order? Who gave the order to stop the counting in those 7 states? I know who it was. It was Barack Obama, and we all know where it came from. But nobody asked that question. It's the same thing here. My biggest concern with this files release is that they're going to come to this point where it's like, oh well, CIA killed him, but there's nothing in the document so far. Who at CIA gave the order if it came from CIA? We know Lyndon Johnson was involved because I've got a picture of the motorcade. The first shots have been fired, and everybody else is sort of like trying to figure out what's happening. And he's already ducking. So he knew when they came around the corner onto Elm Street, they were going to start shooting. He already knew, but he wasn't the guy who gave the order. Somebody behind them did. And everything points to Alan Dulles and MJ12, including some of the memos. And I really hope that we don't have a situation where we sort of decide it becomes like a cultural meme. Oh, CIA did it, but we don't really have the proof of that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of different forces involved. There was a lot of shooters there on that day. We have to piece everything together. From what we can see. Are we close in some places? Are we off in some places? Sure, but overall, it was definitely the CIA and the Chicago mob which was involved in that shooting. Now, from my understanding, from all the people that I've had on that we've talked about it, is that we had George H.W. Bush was in charge of this group, which were 40 assassins. Some of these were former Vietnam veterans, Chicago Mafia, and so forth. He trained them up to be assassins all over the world. They decided, they being the CIA, FBI, LBJ, and several others, that JFK had to be executed because he was treasonous in their eyes. Because it's a shadow government and they're running the show. So in their eyes, they're going to execute him. And that's what they tried to do. Well, they did, but they had their own group come in and do it. This high-end military trained unit that was, at their disposal. So even when George H.W. Bush was the head of the CIA, he was still running these guys and still executing people all over the world that, didn't go along with MJ12 or with the money of, America. So that's where we're at right now. I think that Trump is basically turning that around now.
Yeah. And, I guess the main thing I want to get to before we finish with this is that we can't just stop at where we think these documents lead us, because I seriously doubt we're going to get our hands on any of the real stuff. It's going to be those disputed documents like the Majestic 12 briefing for President Eisenhower and the Byrne memo. That's where we're going to find the truth. But that's not a place I think we're quite ready to go yet. But we won't know until we can do a searchable database. There's all these claims about all these different shooters. And I can definitely say that there were 2. I think we can prove that there were certainly 2 guys, Oswald and J.D. Tippett on the grassy knoll and Oswald in the 6th floor. And I feel like I can prove that those 2 guys were there. And they were both shooters, and there were 4 shots. Beyond that, it's all open. I think we have to discuss it. But I know that there were 2 shooters and 4 shots at a minimum, and that proves a conspiracy right there. And so that's what we've got to dig into. I'm hoping to get in front of the Assassinations Committee that Robert F. Kennedy is in charge of someday, and see if we can.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're not going to get much from the files. We might get snippets of, real truth. But a lot of it is just, from what I'm watching, they're concerned with the interaction that Oswald had with Russia. It's the same rabbit hole they try to force us down. Russia, and it's all BS. So that's one of the things you're going to start to see. When I saw that, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a lot of bullshit. But now it's out in the open. Now we can stop saying to ourselves, there's got to be info in there that will lead us to who the real culprits are. No. It's not gonna happen that way. We're going to have to do the research. We're going to have to work together as a team, as American people, as the people of the world, and overcome this evil system.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the reason why I asked you to come on today, which is these things, the Lifewave patches, which are these just awesome things. Now, look, I'm gonna, I've heard about these before, and somebody gave me a sample of, I don't know, a week's worth of them. I got some X-39s and some X-49s, and I didn't really experience much of anything. Here they are. Here's the little patch. And then somebody was telling me, well, gosh, it doesn't work that way unless you're really sick, unless you really have some issues. You might get fairly immediate results, but for the most part, it takes 1 month per decade you've been on the earth of using them before you start to really feel the results. And I'm like, that sounds a little sketchy. But then again, I started having some friends talk to me. I have a friend, and he said, oh my God, guy, I use the X-39s and the X-49s. He's got a little bit of money, he uses both of them. And he, and there's a link in the description, by the way, for picking them up. And he was telling me he just felt great. He's in his 70s, but he's in great shape, but he felt fantastic, and his energy was great, and everything worked better almost fairly immediately. And another friend who said, I put one of these X-39s on the small of my mom's back, down at the base of her spine. She's in her 80s, late 80s, had pretty severe dementia. And he said, oh my God, within 2 hours, all of a sudden, she was way better. She was like 10 times better. And so that was immediate. And then I had a third friend who came to me at the Quantum Summit, Joe Evans, who was there. You probably met Joe. He probably talked to you. Nice guy with a Southern accent. And he's in his 60s, and he used them nothing for 6 months, really, that he could put his finger on. And now he's skiing 50 miles a day, and he has more energy, and he feels fantastic. So I said, look, there's obviously something to this. These are three personal friends of mine who I absolutely know are not giving me any BS. And Jennifer Fallah, who's my co-host on Mondays and Wednesdays, she has quite a few clients who love the patches. So Scott Ferguson, 84-year-old mother, has dementia, was extremely lethargic until I put on the patch. Within a couple of hours, she became very coherent. I'd like to turn it over to you and just talk about how you got involved with the Lifewave people and the technology. As I understand, and I've got one on right now, I've been using them this is my second or third week now. Actually, I don't have one on. I forgot to put it on. I'll put that one on while we're talking. But, the technology is basically, as I understand it, it kind of stimulates the production of stem cells and things like that. But I'm going to just turn it over to you and let you tell us what you know and how you got involved.
Yeah, it was actually designed, probably about 3 decades ago now, for the Navy SEAL teams. And to basically give it to the guys that are working in the subs, the mini subs, energy. So there was an energy enhancement patch that those guys wore, which basically converted the fat to energy. And just putting the patch on alone, you're burning over 500 calories a day just having the patch on. So I heard about it when I was in the SEAL team. After I left the SEAL teams, it was one of those special projects that I wish that I had been involved in, because I was involved in a lot of them. So these guys are using them, getting great results from them. I heard it from my buddies that were still in the SEAL teams that I was working with, SEAL Team 6 guys that I was working with overseas in Pakistan. And this was just before we got Osama bin Laden. So they're basically telling me, hey, they got these new patches, and he told me about them. Like, man, I missed out on that. Bummer. Can you get me some? And they never give me any. But that stayed with me over time. So fast forward, another decade or so, and I'm at an event, and this woman comes up to me, Jennifer Allen. She's like, I'm speaking at an event. It was an event that I was running, and on remote viewing and influence and all that kind of stuff. So she was like, hey, you need to try these patches. I was like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, I got all these other things, to promote. I don't know. And she's like, they were designed for the Navy SEAL teams. I was like, and then was like, boop, 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 what? So I read the information on it and I tried it. So I'm like an energy freak. I work out, hours every day.
You're a little bit cut, dude. Yeah.
So I tried them and I've never stopped using them every day since, because they give me incredible amounts of energy, and it's very smooth. There's no zing that you get when you drink too much coffee or do a lot of energy drinks. So then I tried obviously tried all the other patches, all of them, the sleep patches, the X-39, X-49, which is stem cell, basically copper peptides. Peptides are like their latest, greatest, thing. And I tried those and, had great results from those as well. Rapid healing, rapid recovery from working out and so forth. I mean, the list goes on and on. I even have a program every Monday. It's called Miracle Monday at 6 o'clock. And anyone can come and check out. But every one of these shows for an hour, it's just like person after person after person. And I've been doing this for over a year. So thousands of people come on my show and share the miracles that are happening in their lives. One of the greatest ones that I can share with you is this woman had been in an explosion in Tennessee, in Nashville. She and her husband were there. They dug underground and they put a generator or something underground, and unbeknownst to them, it had flooded. So they powered it up and it blew up, and they were close to it. And the flame, burned their bodies and ripped her guts out, all kind of crazy stuff. So fortunately, they were able to, over 6 months in a hospital, they were able to keep them alive, get them back together. But she still had this one little hole in her stomach. And for 25 years, she had this hole in her stomach. No one could ever fix it. No one could ever give her, the thing to, recover her from it. And so she used the X-39. Finally, this one guy that's, I've done shows with as well. She said, I gave my mom the X-39. Within 2 months, the hole had closed and very little scar and almost no scar now. So after, over 25 years of having this horrible, hole in her stomach. So that's just one of, I could say thousands of testimonials of Lifewave. So it's basically what it's going in. It's activating your body through phototherapy, activating your body's IR, which comes off your body, infrared comes off your body, and it reflects it back, and it activates your own stem cells to regenerate and start to get going again. Because over time, telomeres and so forth basically start to shut down. They start to shut down with the day when we're born. But, as you age, they shut down more and more and more. So this technology basically activates it again. Now, I think that, this is like a wearable med bed. We that Star Wars and Star Trek and all those shows have amazing healing for their people. I think this is part of it. Now, being part of the space program, maybe in some show we can talk about that later. But being part of that, I can tell you there's unbelievable healing modalities that are just on the other side of us being discovered and using them here on Earth. And I think that the Lifewave technology is a little piece of that already coming through. But a great piece, a massive piece, actually, because there's been a lot of people, myself included, that have had unbelievable results from it. People have looked at me over the years and it's like, you have reversed the aging process crazy on a crazy level. And, you don't see it yourself all the time. But, when you have all these people, even the guy that invented this, David Schmidt, I've had him on several shows. We've done shows together. And we personally met and hung out. He's a really, really good guy. And he's like, yeah, Mike, you have definitely reversed the aging process. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. So, some of the benefits that you get, who doesn't want to have that? Who doesn't want to have fast healing, recovery, and so forth? Everybody does.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Joe mentioned was, I said, so you skied 49 or 50 miles or something 7 or 8 times more than he'd previously been able to do. I said, were you sore? And he goes, I wasn't sore at all. That's the recovery part of it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and one of the great things, as far as I'm like I said, I really work out really hard. About 5 years ago, I decided I'm going to do more in the leg press than I've ever done in my life, and that was when I was 59. So I did 1,000-pound leg press, and then I leaned down. I did a bodybuilding contest and won a bodybuilding contest, at 59, masters. That's right. Yay!
Wow.
So. And I hadn't done a bodybuilding contest in 17 years. So that was a great experience. I was able to focus myself because I wasn't, traveling like I used to all the time. It's really hard. So fast forward 5 years later, here I am, 64, almost 65, closer to 65.
Yeah.
And I just did a 1,100-pound leg press. And I attribute it to the Lifewave reversing the age and also giving me the energy that I need for to be capable of something like that. So it's unbelievable technology that's available to everyone right now. So and then in the future we have a water machine that basically infuses light in the water and you drink it. So you're activating with the patches, you're activating your light through phototherapy. But we're going to be, that's right, infusing the body soon, probably in the next few months when this water machine comes out, with light internally. So there's a whole discussion off this water technology that's coming out. I've had some of that water. I was fortunate to be one of the first ones to use some of the water. And within seconds, most people within 15 seconds have incredible results. And I can vouch for that. 15 seconds, boom. So that with the patches is going to be next level med bed type level stuff. It's going to have healing possibilities for so many people. We're already having people that have all kinds of diseases and problems in their lives that are reversing them. I don't want to say everybody's going to have results because some people get results within days. Mm-hmm. And then some people, like you talked about, it takes months before they start to see it. Of course, internally, the results are happening. You can't see it. Just like when you get out in the sun, like I'm going to do pretty soon here out in that beautiful Florida sun. And I'm going to get some nice, vitamin D and so forth from that sun and tan myself real nice. But you don't see that happening. It's happening, but you don't see it. It's giving you, the resistance to disease and so forth. That's why a lot of people get sick during the winter because they don't have as much sunshine. So you want to have that kind of capability. And as you see, one of those patches down there is glutathione, which is basically helps you overcome or protect yourself from disease and so forth and illness.
Great stuff. And wear them in different parts of your body. Glutathione looks like the base of the neck there, front of the neck. Sometimes it's on the back. I'm 65, so I'm really looking forward to this giving me something. And guys, med beds are great, and we all believe they're going to be here, but we don't know when. And even then, this isn't to say that you can't maintain, a better function even after a med bed by using technologies like this. So this is probably the way. This basically seems like it fine tunes the way your body is actually supposed to work. And I've never been as excited about anything as when I start hearing from my friends, I start believing them. So, jumped right into this thing. All right. Michael, do you want to take some questions or do you have anything more you want to talk about with it?
Oh, yeah. We take some questions. That'd be awesome.
Okay. I'm going to start with one person wants to know, have you ever heard of this helping people with certain types of blood cancers? Because this guy has a blood cancer. Will this kind of thing help that kind of issue over time? And obviously, we know we can't use the C word and things like that. But
yeah, there's the full range of these different abnormalities that are happening in our bodies. There's outside sources which are causing it. The food source, radiation sources from your phones and so forth, and 5G towers and chemtrailing. All these things are attributable to our degeneration in cellular structure and so forth. Now, that's why you want something like this, which is helping you regenerate your cellular structure, your telomeres. Telomeres, basically the ends of your DNA cells and so forth, which basically regenerates new cells. This is basically regenerating the telomeres, regenerating the stem cells to actually start to, create better new cells which have been compromised. So over time, through these bad C things, that C cells that come in hit us over time, that stuff can be reversed. And we've had a lot of people at stage 4 with these bad C cells have reversed that process and are completely cured. But doesn't happen for everybody. Some people that are extremely advanced are in situations where they're being bombarded. Probably, it doesn't help for those people. But I would say that if you have a very good diet, very good nutrition, and so forth, you're probably going to have good results. Now, one of the problems that we see is from, unfortunately, the medical establishment. And although we have a very large range of doctors that are now getting involved with the stem cell technology, Lifewave, they can't use it in their practice because they have insurance and so forth. It would go against that. So they have to continue to promote this. And they're like, well, I have somebody, let's say I'm a doctor and Mike, you're, a practitioner outside of my practice. And I was like, but go to Mike Barra because he has this technology which could actually help you heal faster. And we've had a lot of doctors that have talked about that, heart specialists that have had pacemakers where people had severe infection and nothing would work. The wounds from the pacemaker and the infection, they were horrific. They used stem cell technology, the X-39, X-49, glutathione, and Eon on this area within a very short period of time. The infection was gone, the healing started, and the wound closed up. Scar was reduced. That's another thing that's beautiful about X-39 and X-49. It reduces scars. Some people are having their scars completely fade away.
Wow. That is really cool. And, I got a couple scars, chick stick scars too, Michael. So that's fine. I got one, I had a skin cancer on my knee and I had it cut out, and, I still got a scar there, which is actually fine. Cause I just tell people that, I blew my knee out in Seahawks training camp in 1982. I was a fullback. I almost made the team. And the thing is, there's no records of the roster back then, so I can get away with it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, scars are generally not great things. If you want to get rid of them, if they're in a place on your body that is visible that you don't like, then that's really awesome. Before we get to the questions, let me ask you again about the placement, because there's some that you place, like I got an X-39, you saw me, I just put it on the back of my neck. There's 2 inches below the belly button. And one of my friends over there, Scott, actually put it for the dementia, put it on his, which Jacob wants to know which patch for dementia. And he actually put it at the base of his mom's spine. And it worked really fast for her. So what's that aspect of it? Is the placement, and what do you think about this dementia aspect?
Well, the patches work really good within the meridian system of the body, Chinese medicine, so forth. There's lots of different points. When you get your patches, you'll have a little pamphlet that comes with it, basically shows you the placement. Now, there's other placements with other books. There's other, that's why I recommend people come into the shows that we have, because we talk about placement, because there's lots of different ways you can place these patches, which will treat certain anomalies and so forth, specifically. So as far as the brain, dementia, and so forth, and you see there just 2 fingers below the belly button and right up the C7, which is that little lump in the back of your head. So you can move them back and forth. I use X-39, X-49 in those spots, but sometimes if I have, like I had a shattered kneecap in the SEAL teams, so I had sometimes an out of balance, so my lower back will have a problem. So I'll put the X-39 down my spine right on the other side of where that is, so it balances out that. And I really don't have much, and I used to have a lot of problems with my lower back on the opposite side of where my kneecap was shattered. I haven't had that in years now. So there's lots of different things you can use it for. Now back to the brain. The brain, basically, there's like a brain fog that can happen for a lot of people over time. The wonderful thing, and the X-39 is like the best all around. It's like the mother of the patches. So that's what we recommend, first of all, because it's going to treat a wide spectrum of problems. If you go to the EON patch, AEON, the EON patch basically is great for the brain too. And we have a hat protocol where you actually put a hat on. It's got a EON and a glutathione at the top, and the energy patches surrounding it on the brim. So that basically will activate your neurons in your brain and so forth and clear up stuff. My son was addicted to heroin for like 12 years. We finally got him. He's been in and out of all kinds of rehabs. He was like, when am I going to get to the point where I feel like I'm free? It didn't happen until we used the hat protocol on him. So we used the hat protocol. I stayed after he did basically one of the clinics where he got clinged. We used a hat protocol on him for like a solid month. So the patches last for like 12 hours, sometimes a little bit more. So we put the hat on as long as he could stand it. He'd take it off. So let's say he had it on 2 hours. So as long as that patch is not close to your body, it's not going to be activated. So we put it on for a couple hours. The next day, we put it on a couple hours. He has been heroin free, and he's like, he has no desire for the first time in his life to go back. Wow. So that is one of the things that the EON, the X-39, and these patches are doing. They're basically refiring the brain, the neurons in the brain, because they get, disconfigured, as far as the way they fire. So it's basically clearing those neuron passageways that have been compromised, and that's clearing up brain fog. Some people with, anomalies, because I can't say that we can treat or diagnose, any disease, of course, but we have a lot of testimony, and there's been lots of studies, but the FDA, who controls a lot of this stuff, and the FDA basically kicked it out of the Navy SEAL teams, because when Obama came in, he's like, if it's not FDA approved, get it out. So the FDA, you have to do multi-million-dollar studies, and they last years. So David Schmidt's like, okay, I'll just take this out and share it with the world. Thankfully, so we're lucky. But the FDA is not going to come in and certify this stuff, because they're going to take down their boy system. They won't make as much money. So we have to skirt around. That's why I say this, can't treat or diagnose, although we have amazing testimonials that it does. Try it. I mean, a lot of people are having, like I said, it may not treat the thing that you want initially, and that could be because there's other things that need to be treated before it gets to that, or there's other things that you don't know about that are causing that issue that it's going to start to work on. So that's why we say,
where the healing goes.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Very, very good. Very, very good point. It's like you're an expert already, because you already know that there's technologies out there, from your broad spectrum of observation skills and so forth, what you've been involved in, like me, and so you this stuff exists on a certain level. This technology brings it out.
Got a question from Jim Spray. Do the patches interfere with diabetes meds? I've been on it for 10 days now, not to my knowledge, and I am on a few different diabetes meds because I like my Dr. Pepper. Things like that. What about that?
Yeah, it's definitely, it does not interfere with anything, because remember, it's your body that's being activated. It's not inserting anything into your body. It's not adding anything into your body. It's just a patch which your body, sends out infrared light. It counteracts it back, and it activates what's in your body. So that's the beauty of this. We don't have anybody that's ever had a problem with it. All right. Other than people that have what's called retracing. Now, retracing is when your body goes back, and we have sometimes upwards of 20% of the people have what's called retracing. Let's say that you have had an issue with your knee, and there's you put the patches on, and then your knee, it like you have pain there. What it's doing is it's going in and activating that so that you break through that layer of pain, and then it goes in and starts to fix it. So it's like, your body builds up a layer of, fluff around, pain and so forth. And your mind, same thing with your mind, does the same thing. And then as this technology comes in to fix that, you relive it to the point where it's like you have that memory come through, and you're like, oh yeah. So we just recommend, when you have something like that, just take the patch off for a little bit, and then place it on for a little bit longer until you get that, retracing happening again. And over time, we've had lots of people that try that technique, basically overcome the retracing, work through the retracing, and then get the healing process going on.
Okay, Jennifer Fallaw, my co-host, wants to know, are there good patches for the anxiety? And she's thinking about getting them for her daughter who has issues with that.
Excellent question. Yeah, the anxiety part is the Eon. So the Eon, there was actually someone at the event, I guess it was working the tables back there with you guys, that had a problem walking one day. And one of the guys that basically signed you up, Art, basically, he's like, normally what we do is we get the X-39, but because he's an intuitive guy, he learned from the best. So, and no, he had it already, I'm sure. So he's like, he used the Eon, and she got relief, and she's like dancing around, and then he put the X-39, and then she's like jumping up or down, and she's like, really, it's amazing. So he's like thinking to himself, why did I use Eon? And then it came to him, it's because she had anxiety for having an issue with being able to walk, the pain and so forth. So he gave her the Eon first, and then the Eon is really good for calming, and that's the one that is in the HAT protocol that my son used to overcome his addictions.
So Jen, that's the one to use for that issue. Sorry, Michael, we are keeping you a little longer than I told you, but hopefully we can get out of here quick. Ernest says having more stem cells is not a bad thing. I've been on X-39 for a year. I'm sleeping better, and many other things are working better as well. Another great testimonial there. Charlotte wants to know if the Lifewave patch can regrow teeth and limbs. Well, I think we have to wait for the med beds on that. But Michael, what about just generally your health of your bones and teeth and all that stuff?
Well, we have had some people not whole limbs, and but we have actually had people that have had tooth issues, that they basically overcome those teeth issues. So I'm not going to say they regrew teeth or anything, but there has been some testimony along those lines. Limbs haven't seen that yet. Maybe with the water machine and the patches combined, we might start doing limbs. I don't know. It's a possibility.
News, but I think we got to wait for the med beds on that. All right, Salty Sister wants to know: does it help with weight loss, pain, and energy? It seems like if you have more energy, you're going to move around more, and you're going to lose weight right away. And you said it burns calories just by being on you, right?
Yeah, that's the energy enhancer. You're basically just put it on, you're burning upwards of 500 calories. Now, as far as the pain, we do have a pain patch, which is unbelievably effective, Ice Wave. So I use the Ice Wave because I had, pain in my knee that was shattered over the years. It kind of debilitating over time. And I used the Ice Wave on it. And I would say that the pain in my knee would flare up a couple times a year, and it would last anywhere from a week to upwards of a month. I put the ice wave on my my knee that was starting to flare up. The pain was gone within 15 seconds, and I had no more issues with it. And I didn't have to use the ice wave patch again for another 2 years. And it flared up again, and I put the ice wave patch on it, and same thing, gone again. So we have, incredible success with a lot of this stuff. Now the energy is, like I said, with the energy enhancement is incredible. It's very smooth. It lasts for the entire length of time, 12 hours. If I worked out 12 hours a day, I would be very happy to be able to do that. But I have a life that I have to fulfill. Sharing this information is one of my thrilling things I do in my life. So another thing that you can add with the energy enhancement to basically with the weight loss is the SP6. Now the SP6 is a hormone balancer as well. It does a really, really good job of balancing the hormones, and it reduces the need to eat. All right, so you don't have the appetite. It's basically an appetite suppressant, if you will. So with the energy enhancement and the SP6, if you're looking at the weight loss, you're going to get it. So I use that. I have I won't say excellent because I like to eat,
Yeah.
but because I like to work out, I can balance that. Like I said, I had some incredible success this year with my weight workout, and still do. So I'm getting to the point where I'm leaning down, and I know that the SB6 and the energy enhancer, and of course the X-39, X-49, all the other ones I use, are definitely helping me in that category. But for specifically, that's really, if you want to just focus on that SB6 and energy enhancer. Now, as far as price, an X-39 should be your go-to for everything. But if you have the wherewithal to afford a little bit more and you want to focus on different things, like the Eon, which is great for inflammation. So we know that most disease, 90% or more disease, is caused by inflammation. So you're reducing inflammation with the Eon patch as well.
Okay, well, I may have to get me some the Eon patches then. All right, let's roll on to. Well, Bear just wanted to say he's been following you since you begin your journey, and that's really cool stuff. Okay. Where the hell do we get these things? Well, I put a link to my thing in the description. I also put it in the chat. Some projects, so you can just click on the link and go right to the source there. Hey,
and to if you like the Jaco, you've been following the Jaco for a while, buy from Mike Barrett because he's on my team. He's on my
help
so yes,
Michael
please help him, and you help me. So it's and then if you want to get involved, then we have a program for you too. So yep. Under Mike Barrett.
Well, I mean, the link I put in goes to my particular shopping site, so they'll go in through me. So yeah, AJ Ferraro, using X-39 with great results for 3 months. Is there a specific placement to balance electrical issues in the heart that can cause irregular heartbeat? Again, we can't really. I guess I should have skipped that last part. But is there a good place for the electrical balance?
All right, so you might consider, AJ, the carnosine patch, because that is an excellent addition for your situation. I just watched a video by a heart specialist that talked extensively about the carnosine, and I was talking about how this one person had infected heart monitor type thing, and it was a carnosine that he said was the most effective thing, and they did the studies, and it's literally studies. So it's not like we're just saying, okay, we have a few testimonials. No, this is a scientific heart specialist doctor that did research on heart and so forth, pacemakers. That's what I was thinking about, and so forth. And he said carnosine next to the heart was very effective at getting rid of heart damage and so forth. We know from that one thing that used to go in our arm. Hopefully no one's getting that thing in their arm anymore, to overcome the 19 thing. But if you're still, if you did that and you have issues, a lot of people do, unfortunately, with heart and so forth, the carnosine can help overcome that. Now, I did, so a couple years ago, probably 2.5 years ago, I did a show with David Schmidt, and we talked about how the X-39 basically overcame a lot of the problems from COVID and the vaccination that went in to overcome that. And so X-39 overcomes a lot of the issues of people that unfortunately are still passing over from the effects of that vaccination program on a more and more increasingly rapid rate, unfortunately, that's being suppressed. But the X-39 basically overcomes those problems.
Interesting. Okay, what's the difference between X-39 and X-49? That's another question.
Yeah, so the X-39, like I said, is the mother, and then the X-49 would be the daughter. So the X-39, does pretty much a lot. It activates a certain copper peptide within the body, and then the X-49 activates another copper peptide within the body, and it 49 actually works on the heart muscle and a lot of other things. Muscle degeneration. It basically reverses that, and a lot of other things. So benefits, you can see benefits from all these. So I suggest you do a little bit of research on it. There's lots of websites, where you can see the benefits. Patch placement.
I've got an X-39. Could I also wear an X-49 on the spot, like 2 inches below my belly button? Like, you can wear them both during the day, right? And it's not an issue.
Yeah, and what's amazing about this is they found when you wear the X-39 and X-49, it's like a Faraday cage on your body. So you're basically resisting all of the 5G stuff from your cell phone, from video and computers and so forth. So you have your body, you're a walking Faraday cage. So over the years, I've been attacked quite a bit by directed energy weapons, and there was one time where I got attacked. I was on the computer. I was doing a show on some stuff that I obviously didn't like me sharing. And then I got real dizzy. I ended the show, and the next thing I know, I'm crawling across the floor to get to the bathroom because I know they have to ground myself. So I go to the toilet and I ground myself. And I was like, what happened? And I was like, oh, like you. I was like, I didn't put on my patches this morning. What am I thinking about? So I'm very careful about putting on my patches. And I've talked to a lot of people. Some of you guys out there might know Dr. Artis, who talked about, the venom in that the vaccine and so forth, a snake venom. And so I'm talking, I was at an event with him. I was like, and it just popped in my mind. We're having dinner together, and we're going deep into this stuff. I'm like, oh, you helped me because I got that Nicorette gum, and it helped. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't smell or taste for like well over a year because the COVID stuff. And I was able to smell and breathe within a day after chewing Nicorette gum. Wow. And he's like, oh yeah. So I'm like, how is it that you have been able to talk about that stuff? Do you ever get direct energy weapon attack? He's like, oh yeah. And then we started sharing, he goes and he goes in the bathroom and he starts running the water, and he like either washes his hands or takes a shower or whatever to overcome the effects of direct energy weapon. So there's a lot of us that get attacked like this, but for those of you that are just doing your everyday thing, wear the X-39, X-49 to get the Faraday cage and overcome the effects of 5G and all the other interferences out there that are hitting us.
Well, Deb, I guess this answers the question of whether you can use different patches at the same time. The answer is yes, and they have different places on the body where you can place them. And again, can you shower with them on? Does that have any effect? It doesn't seem to.
Yeah, I shower with them all the time. You just want to be sure not to blast that area and take it or rub it. and that's my problem, because I forget they're there, and knock them off. But you can put it back on. You can actually put them, not even take off the little backing and put them in your pocket, or take the backing off and put them on your clothing. As long as it's within 6 inches of your body, they're going to be activated and start to work on your body.
That is great news.
That's great news.
Fred says he avoided a knee replacement wearing the patches. That's an awesome success story. We appreciate you with that. Yeah, there are some bundle packages in there, as you can see on the website, Christine, if you want to go. Guys, we've got more questions. One person asking about epilepsy and things like that. Michael, let's do a real quick thing on like a brain stuff again, focus on which one to use for brain issues. And then I'm going to let you go, because you've already given us more of your time than we asked for. So thanks.
Yeah. So we've had, gosh, there's so many things we could cover. But there's people that have Down syndrome, and they have been put on the patches. And we've heard from several people that the Down syndrome, and they're not children, they're adults, they're 30s and 40s and so forth. They usually don't live much longer than that. So they're getting towards the end of their lifespan, and they're very lethargic, not talking anymore. They used to be. They have gone on the patches and to become active again and start to talk. So obviously there's something going on with the brain activity. So X-39 and an Eon patch, I think combination would be your best bet for overcoming a lot of brain issues, whatever they might be. So, and again, I can't say it's going to cure, or whatever, but there's a lot of people that have had very good results with it in many different, problem areas.
Right. Okay, guys. So that is that is kind of the story here. We're going to let Michael go. Mike, I know you're busy. Thanks for your time. Again, link in the description and link in the chat for the Lifewave site that you guys have got set up for me. I really think it's awesome, and it's great to have you on the show. Anytime you want to come back, if you have time, we can do this once a week if you have time. I'll try to keep it shorter to 30 minutes, but it seems like an amazing product, and from people that are giving me stories and testimonials, it seems really amazing. So I'm really proud to be associated with you guys. So anything else you want to share?
No, I'm really proud that you're associated with as well, because you have a very large, very informed audience, and everybody can benefit from this. I think the whole world could benefit from this. So I'm glad you're out there, sharing it. But yeah, I would love to come back on, and we can talk about, I know you're like me, you're all over the map on a lot of different issues. So yeah, I'd love to come back and we discuss some stuff, and maybe talk a little bit more Lifewave. That'd be great.
As issues evolve, we'll do that. So keep in touch. And again, really thank you to Michael for being a special guest today. Good luck to everything. Looks like you're gonna have a nice sunny day there in Florida. Vegas is a little cool and cloudy, but I think they're chemtrailing up there. So have a great one, Michael, and thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for being here. I will see everybody back on Monday. And hopefully we have really exciting stuff to talk about. Thanks.